Welcome to the Trust Factor Radio, bringing you interviews and insights to unlock the power of the subconscious mind to create authority, credibility, and trust. With your host, the Authority Architect and best-selling author, Neil Howe.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today my special guest is Helmut Hampton. He is the owner of Helmut Hampton Digital Marketing, and he helps local and national businesses get on page one of Google so that they can get more traffic and grow their business. He has 6 years experience as Google Partner Certified, and he has dozens of client testimonials and hundreds of page one rankings. So we're going to hear all about how he does that for all his clients. Welcome to the show, Helmut Hampton.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's get a little bit more background into yourself and what got you into this industry.
Well, I actually started about 6 years ago. I started doing it for myself, started to learn. Basically, I wanted to I get some websites up and wanted to try and make some income doing that. And I realized that I was missing a pretty big link because I spent probably a couple months getting my first website up. It was a retail website for selling these very large bean bags, and I got it all set up. And I'm sure a lot of businesses can relate to this, but I get everything set up, and then I made the site live, and nothing happened.
You expected the sales to come flying in, right?
I know. It's like, it's been 10 seconds already. Like, where's the sales? So nothing happened, and then days passed, and then still nothing happened. I realized that there was a very important part of the equation that I was missing, and that was getting traffic. So nobody knew about my website. Nobody was coming to my website. So then I started to learn how to do it on my own. And, a lot of trial and error, but eventually, got some mentors and started partnering with other people who knew what they were doing, learned it as my own skill set, applied it to my websites. A couple hundred websites later, started to get pretty good at it. And so then I started offering it to local businesses. And that's pretty much at the stage I am now. We offer to local businesses here in we focus especially here in Tampa, getting local businesses ranked on page one of Google for keywords that are relevant to them. And it really, it's pretty exciting. It helps them to get traffic that they otherwise wouldn't have had. There's really good businesses out there that they do good work, they have a good track record, but like me, they had a good product or service, but they don't have any traffic. So no one really knows who they are, and they suffer as a result. So I'm able to help people with that. So that's a big part of why I do what I do. I enjoy being able to help out businesses like that.
Yeah, it's oftentimes the case where you start out doing something for yourself, you learn how to do it, and then all of a sudden it becomes a skill that everybody needs, and it's certainly what everybody needs now. I know there's a lot of local-based service businesses that have, built their business on referrals over the years and not really needed the internet, but so many people are just relying on the internet these days with, phones in their pockets. It's the first place we go. It's also the first place we go once we get a recommendation. So you really do have to show up. Tell me what your clients are saying when they come to you. What kind of problems are they having?
Let's see. Usually the main problem that they have is, like I was saying, they're not getting any kind of traffic to their business, and they don't really know why. I've been there. It's the experience. It's frustrating. You have good product, but for example, someone down the street, they've got a website that's ranking on page one of Google, and maybe they have less experience. Their quality of work is lower, but they're getting all the business simply because they have that one thing in their favor, that they're easier to find when people search for them online. They Google it, and those guys are there instead of them, and so they get the lion's share of the business. So they've got their overhead bills are due. The days pass by, and they're not getting customers, and they're basically just left with the scraps. And that's most of the time when my clients or people who become my clients come to me. That's kind of the position they're in. They've usually tried to do SEO on their own. They've usually kind of, did what I did, is kind of Googled it. And a lot of the information that when you go to Google SEO and search engine optimization and techniques and things like that, it's not really all that helpful. It's just stuff that doesn't work. And, to get into some specifics, they basically say just have good content and blog posts. And they basically tell you have good content and optimize your on page. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine, but that's never going to rank you on page 1 of Google for anything that's actually worthwhile. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of bit part stuff out there. I can interview 100 different SEOs, and they might give me 100 different answers of what works. So what does work as part of the big strategy? What are the pillars of SEO that really you have to do in order to get page 1 of Google?
Yeah, well, the main things are, like, you have to do, those things I just said. You have to have good content, you have to have blog posts, and get your on-page optimization done. But a big thing that people don't realize that they have to do or don't know how to do properly is to get links going to their website. And that's really where a professional SEO service comes in, because I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I've built up the relationships, I've built up the resources for links, and not only getting links, but not all links are created equal. Some links are good, some links are okay, some links will actually hurt your website. So really understanding what drives the Google algorithm, that's really where, a lot of the service, the value you get in a professional SEO service is going to provide, because people just don't have those resources built up. I built up those resources for myself and my company because I went all out and I really wanted to make it work. But for example, your local plastic surgeon, your local dentist, your local business owner, they're running their own business. Whereas SEO and keeping up with it and monitoring everything that's going on, that really is a full-time job. It takes, because it's constantly changing, and learning it to begin with is difficult enough, but it's constantly changing. So you really can't do that well and run your own local business at the same time.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's something to be outsourced to somebody that knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
Stay in your own lane and do what you do, and let a professional, take care of, what they do and stay in their lane. Talk to me about these links then, because, like you said, the content, the on-page is talked about a lot, but nobody really talks a great deal about links. You said there's some good links that are really going to help. There's some so-so, and then there's some links that are going to hurt. Can you explain what each of those look like?
Sure. Generally, the links that you get on really cheaply and basically spammy bot created things, which is it's software that just creates links and things like that. You see, Google's smart. They have they employ some of the smartest people on the planet to make sure that their search engine results are the best in the world. So they're very intelligent. They're not going to let somebody just run a bot like a GSA blast or anything like that to rank a site for anything meaningful. In fact, if you try and do that, you're going to get penalized. Whereas good links are links that are relevant, and it's hard. It's very time consuming to build up those relevant links. You have to develop relationships. You have to develop relationships locally, both online and offline. And it's one of those things where you really just want, if you go to for example, like a heart surgeon, it's not worth it for an individual to learn how to do their own heart surgery. Does that make sense? You pay someone else to do that because they've had years of training, years of experience. They have all the tools, they have all the expertise and available to them. So they're the ones that are able to get the job done. Whereas excuse me, whereas someone else just coming into it brand new, there's so many ways to do it wrong and not that many ways to do it right. And a lot of what we do is actually fairly proprietary. We don't share that with our clients because that's what gives us our edge. See, when I actually really started ramping up my business and started getting the results, when I basically I started getting mentors and developing partnerships. So not only do I have my own personal websites, I have which are in the hundreds, but I collaborate with my partners who are other professional SEOs in other cities. And with all that information, it's basically research and development. It's all about research and development. We're researching and developing so that we can reverse engineer the Google algorithm, and we can use our data to see what works, see what doesn't work. And anytime anything happens in the in the Google algorithm, they've got different updates and stuff like that. All we need to do, we don't need to go ask someone else. I just look at my data. I call up my friends and like, what are you seeing here? And we're able to figure out what's going on pretty quickly because we just keep track of all that information. And again, that's what we do is, that's pretty proprietary. That's what gives us our edge and how we're able to beat out the competition. But using that information, and that's where I really, I guess, had my like kind of epiphany moments when I realized that a huge part of success in SEO really comes down to research and development.
Mm-hmm. And basically what's working now?
Well, what's working right now is, especially for local businesses, you can get a lot of basically links that are local, links, things that you can are geolocation specific. So think websites from other local businesses, and they also like to see traffic. And see, Google as as a business, they don't like you really relying on them exclusively for your business, because that's not a real business. A business has many sources of traffic. They've got people coming in, walking on foot. They've got people searching, just coming from social media, from other websites, and it depends on the industry, but like, very niche websites like Home Advisor and things like that. They like to see traffic coming from other places, because if you're relying exclusively on Google, then they are the foundation of your business, and they don't want to carry that burden. They want you to be a real business, a legitimate business that gets sources from other stuff, and Google, they just kind of give you, that's your bonus traffic. Now, in the real world, Google traffic can comprise a huge amount of a business's revenue, very, very high percentage of it. But they don't want to feel like you're relying entirely on them. So getting your Facebook, getting your Twitter, getting your Pinterest, having those and getting all these things linked to you basically shows Google that you are a legitimate business, because there's so many businesses that just don't do that. So you want to think, what do local businesses actually do that mean business, that are serious? And how do you differentiate yourself from the people who are just trying to either game the system or just don't really care about their business? Because, think of it from Google's perspective. They don't want to rank some website on page 1 of their search engine results for a valuable keyword who doesn't really care. They want people who are serious about what they do and are ready to, when someone clicks on the link, they go to the website, they see it, they say, yes, this is what I want. And then they either make the phone call or they fill out the form or whatever it is that you want them to do on your website. That's something that is really important. And that's actually another smaller ranking factor is the how well your site converts. If you've got people, because think of it from Google's perspective. Say you're Google, you have your search engine results, and then you've got a website on there. Somebody searches for something, they click on that, they stay on there for 2 seconds, and they immediately click back. And then they click on something else, they stay on there for 2 seconds, immediately click back, and then leave. What are they going to do? They're going to go to Bing, they're going to go to Yahoo. They can't have websites, websites that don't convert. They can't have websites, because what does that tell you? It tells Google that those websites aren't what that person was looking for. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, so if that's not what they're looking for, then they probably shouldn't be on page 1 of Google. So conversion and on-page interaction, that's another important factor in SEO right now. Well, not right. It's been for a while, but now it's becoming even more so. Mobile friendliness is a really big factor. If you don't have a mobile-friendly web design, actually the mobile index has recently, maybe a few months ago, overtaken the desktop index. So that's another really important factor. Page speed. And you can probably start to kind of piece this together in your mind, what Google's thinking. And that's what we do, kind of reverse engineer the algorithm, what Google's thinking. Mobile, page speed, conversion, and then the links, that's another factor. But all these things, you see, it's all about the user experience, right? Mm-hmm. When they want, what does Google want? They just want people to go to Google, find what they need, and be happy with it, and then go about their way. So it's all about the user experience for them. So people hate when they go on their mobile phone and it's not mobile friendly. People hate when it loads really slow. People hate when they can't find what they're looking for. They're confused about what a website actually does or how to call them or what they're supposed to do. So those are some very important factors right now that any business owners who are watching this, you can take advantage of that right now. That's something you can do, because the links and all that stuff, that takes a lot of that's very resource intensive and research and development intensive. But those factors like mobile, page speed, and having good on-site conversion, those are things that you can do right now, and any business owner can do and should do, and that'll help your SEO right there.
So, talk to me about that. Obviously there's the traffic part and getting somebody to the site. So mm-hmm. what should be on that site that is going to, get people to take an action and keep them on the page long enough to have Google say, okay, this is relevant?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's actually, there's a really good book called by Stephen Krug, Don't Make Me Think. That's a really good book, but I'll summarize it for you right now. It's basically make it super, super obvious what the website's about and what you're supposed to do. Like, don't try to be cute. Don't try to be clever at the expense of clarity. So what you want to have is above the fold. That means above the fold refers to what you see on the website without having to scroll down. You want it to be extremely clear and obvious what you do, what the business does, what you want them to do, and how you want them to do it. So if you're a plumber, it should be extremely obvious you are a plumber. You want a picture, you want first your title to be relevant, saying you're a plumber. You picture of a plumber, something like that, something that communicates at so you don't really have to think about it at a subconscious level. You just see a picture of a plumber and you're like, oh yeah, he's a plumber. And what do you want them to do? Do you want to fill out a form? If you want them to fill out that form, you want to have that form right there in front of their face. If you want them to give you a call, then you want to have a button right there where they can call. Actually, if you want to see a good example of this, my website, helmuthampton.com, what I want people to do, and I just use it as an example, is I want them to get a complimentary website analysis. That'll give the customer some information about what are some of the pros and cons, things they have going for them or against them on their website for their SEO. And it also sends a copy to me, and then I can get in touch with them and see how we can help them out. So that's what I want them to do. That is a pop-up, like immediately, and when you close it, and then you've got, I'm trying to remember what it says right now. I test different things. Basically, get more traffic to your business from Google or something. And then there's a button right there above the fold. You don't have to scroll. You don't have to do anything. And also there's a button for a local and a national 1-800 number. So all that stuff being above the fold, that's how you keep people on your website. That's how you make it super clear who you are, what you do, and what you want them to do on your website.
Well, I like that. I'm looking at your site right now. It's helmuthampton.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, drive more customers to your business. Get your complimentary SEO analysis here. Click here. You got your phone number well displayed, and then a little bit further down. Talk to me about further down the page.
Oh yeah, let me pull it up. I actually didn't have it. Yeah, and then right there, directly below the button, search engine optimization, web design, and social media marketing. It's like, okay, that's what he does. There's no, there's no question about what this guy does. This is actually, these are some interesting, on-page factors, and we've tested this quite a bit. And having a picture, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, just so anyone listening, I'm actually just using this as an example. And because this is what works, obviously because it works, it's what I did with my website. I'm not saying it works because I did it with my website. I did it with my website because it works. So let's see here. I've got my picture. People like to see a real person. And so that's me there. So people like to see a real person behind the business. They like to see a nice smiling face, preferably looking at the camera. So it builds a bit of a connection. And then I just get a little bit about me. Hi, I'm Helmut Hampton, owner of HelmutHampton.com. A little bit of information on, according to Google, we're #1 SEO agency in Keystone. And below that, go ahead.
So what I see here, I mean, right away, yes, there's the complimentary SEO analysis, which is great. I definitely want to do that to have my site checked out and make sure, it's healthy or figure out what's wrong with it. But then, I always say people do business with people, not companies. So you want to know who is running this company. And, if you are going to call them or correspond with them, you want to know what they look like, so that you have that idea in your head. And then, if you want to get any further into that, then you keep on reading.
Exactly. Right. Just like you said, people do business with other people. If there's no picture on there, I mean, it's not all these, none of these are going to make or break your site. It's not like you're going to put a picture on there and everything's going to, just go crazy. But all these things piled on top of each other. And I know this is your area of expertise. You can probably talk about this more than I do, but build trust. They build upon the overall composite picture of, do I want to do business with this person or not?
And speaking to that, a little bit further down, you've got the certified by Google that gives you that credibility and trust as well. And you've got quite a few other things. Talk about those as well.
So I've got the Google certifications. These are certifications from Google that basically show, I know what I'm doing for AdWords, mobile sites, Google Analytics, for the individual qualification, and those are certificates that you get directly from Google. So that as a part of a Google partner program. So that's something that's it's been very helpful. You kind of become in the know in terms of Google and different things that they're testing, things that they haven't completely rolled out yet. So it's a pretty cool program to be a part of. And right above that, I've got and this is what a lot of people like to see, like, okay, where do you rank? And so here, if you Google Keystone SEO, this is actual screenshots of what you get. What the Google search results of when you type in, these different terms: Keystone SEO, West Chase SEO, SEO Citrus Park. And that, really shows customers and how would this be useful to, anyone who's not an SEO. You want to show evidence of, can you do what you say you can do? If you're a dentist, you want to see, people, you want to see your office. You want to see what it looks like. You want to see maybe you standing there with a patient, things like that. So this is my version of demonstrating competence, building trust, and Google 5 local guide, academic degrees. So I have a degree in marketing. Not a lot of people know that, but I did go to USF, University of South Florida, for marketing and management, and this is pretty cool. It was a fun thing I did I was a winner of the 2007, I want to say, Kobe case competition. That was a really, really bizarre experience. where basically they have all these senior students. They come together and we get some training and stuff like that, specifically on creating business plans. And then they have a real company. And that year it was the Bank of Tampa. So all the executives, including the president, I think, and the CEO of Bank of Tampa, came at like 8 o'clock in the morning on the day of the competition. And they said, okay, this is our business. This is what we're having trouble with. And so now write us a business proposal or a business model modification proposal. And there was, I think, 4 or 5 different teams, about 4 or 5 people per team, and then like about 5 teams. And we had 24 hours to do this. So we were driving to Bank of Tampa. We were doing research online, and we stayed up all 24 hours. So 8 a.m. all the way around the clock till 8 a.m. the following day. And then we met with them and we did our presentation, and our team won. So that was really exciting. I handled the marketing part of that. So that was pretty, but it was fun. You know, that's college. You know, when you're, in your early 20s, you have no problem staying up
That's right.
all hours of the night. I was actually, it gets a little gross. I actually had the flu at the time too. So I just told them, if I get sick in the middle of this, just go without me, man. Just keep going. I'm gonna step over here and then I'll come back and I'll continue on. But it was pretty intense, but it was fun. You know, that's and that's something that I've kind of taken with me. You know, like sometimes you have a project and you got to pull all-nighters, but it's all part of the game. So it was a really fun time.
Yeah, well, that's something else to include on there is just these kinds of stories. People want to know that you're a real person as well, and that you have a background and you have a life, and that you have stories to share. Another very important thing that I see on your website, Helmut, is the testimonials. You've got a bunch of testimonials on your page. That is something else that builds trust. What do you suggest to people that don't have any testimonials? What's the best way to go out and get them?
Oddly enough, really, you just got to ask. I think a lot of people, they're just scared to ask because they're, based on what I've heard, they're afraid of getting a bad review or something like that. And, that's a legitimate concern. But what I've seen work most effectively for local business owners is when they make it part of their system. Because if you just tell their, the front desk person or whatever, like, try and get some of this, try to remember to ask for a testimonial or something like that, they're probably not going to do it. They have all these other things to do. And if that's not even on their checklist of things they have to do, then they're probably not going to do it. But if you make it part of your overall business system, for example, there's a company I'm working with now. They have, I'm trying to remember, is it over 50 or over 100? And they're fairly new, but they just make a point every single time that they have that they service a customer. And that's when you do it. Once you're done servicing the customer, at the end, they ask for the recommendation, and they make it really easy. For example, if you're going to ask by email, don't tell them find us and then give us a review or whatever. Tell them, give them the link, and you can reverse engineer this yourself. But you can find, okay, what's the link to, so where I get exactly to the place, even where it gives me the little pop-up where all I got to do is type it in. You can do that with LinkedIn. You can do that with Google My Business. You can do that with Facebook, which is where I get most of mine from. And basically just make it as easy as possible for people to give you a recommendation, and then just ask for it. And that's what I've done, and that's what I've seen the businesses that get a lot of testimonials. I'm reading this right here. A lot of testimonials and reviews is that they just do those two things. They make it easy, and then they ask for it as part of their, that's like one of the final steps in them servicing their customer.
And that shows a lot of social proof as well, that other people have done business with you, they're happy with the result, and they're willing to talk about it. And are the reviews a big part of the algorithm for ranking on the local maps?
Not really, to be honest. There's a lot of other things that go into it. There's, traffic and reviews do play a small part, but it's really the biggest actually factor for where your Google My Business ranks in the MacPack. For people who aren't familiar, the Google My Business is the entity that ranks in the local MacPack or the Snack Pack, as it's sometimes called when you search for something locally. That is the biggest determinant of that is where your website ranks.
Right. So you've got to have a strong website. Yep. Is that with content and links or just the whole shebang? Yeah,
the whole shebang. That's the largest factor in where your Google My Business ranks for those keywords. Because if you look at, just go incognito and type in anything you can think of locally, and you'll see that most of the time those top 3 in the Snack Pack is the same as at least like the top 5 or 6 in the regular organic search results right below that. So there's a very high correlation. So that's why a big part of ranking a Google My Business is simply ranking the website. And that's actually most of the work for ranking a Google My Business is ranking the website, and then the Google My Business just ranks as a result of that.
Right. All right, Helmut. Well, hey, we've had a lot to talk about, and there's a lot more to talk about, but we are about out of time. If you can leave us with one thing that a local business could do to try and help themselves out and, get a little bit higher or rank a little bit better on Google, what is the most important thing that they need to do?
Hire a good SEO.
Yeah, there you go. You got it. That is a great answer.
That's the real answer. If if you want to just get started and start doing some stuff, though, just to give you, maybe you can't afford SEO or you're building up to that. Like I said, the page speed, the mobile optimization, and and just getting your conversion stuff, that will help. It's not gonna dominate your competition, but if you are on a tight budget and you want to just get started with something that's cheaper or free usually, then those are usually things that most people can do themselves.
Great stuff. Well, it's been fun talking with you today, Helmut. There's so much to talk about when it comes to digital marketing as a whole, as well as just in search engine optimization. So many things to consider. If somebody does want to take your advice and do that one thing that's going to make the biggest difference, how do they reach out to you for help?
Well, the easiest way would just be to go to my website. It's helmuthampton.com. It's HELMUTHAMPTON.com. And on there, it's, like I said before, it's pretty obvious what you need to do. You can either contact me or just get your website design, and I'll be in touch with you and see what we can do to help you.
Yeah, definitely, and get that free SEO analysis as well. Well, Helmut Hampton, thank you very much for being my guest on the Trust Factor Radio today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
You've been listening to the Trust Factor Radio with Neil Howe. To learn about the resources mentioned in the show and to listen to past episodes, go to thetrustfactorradio.com. To get a copy of the book, The Trust Factor, go to thetrustfactorbook.com. If you are ready to act now and build your authority, credibility, and trust, schedule a consultation with Neil at theauthorityarchitect.com.